All right. Shawn Porter on an interview or being interviewed after this PBC press conference for Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury, talked about Anthony Joshua and mentioned that Anthony Joshua was pretty much, I'm paraphrasing, becoming irrelevant in the heavyweight division with this fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. Irrelevant might be a little bit of an overstatement, but it does quite catch the essence of what he and Mark Kragel were talking about. And I've said that before, and we're going to talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. Subscribers, if you guys are not subscribed, I hope you accept my invitation to subscribe. Also, thank you to everybody that supports the different tiers of this channel. The live stream community, we do live streams Monday through Friday and OG Boxing Talk on Sunday. This last weekend was absolutely wonderful. Hilarious. Blood Boxing is a funny guy, man. You guys, hilarious. And also everybody that supports over on the Patreon, we've got a new video coming up there today. And also everybody that watches the videos and is member of the channel, thank you guys so much. Excuse me. So let's talk about this Anthony Joshua. So Anthony Joshua, as we know, is the WBA champion, the IBF champion, and the WBO champion. Now, most people who are casual boxing fans really do not have an idea what that means. And honestly, man, in my opinion, you know, the way that these belts kind of hash themselves out and the way with the politics of boxing, look, unless you got all of the champions, unless you've got all of the championship belts, you are a champion. You are a title holder, unless you have all of them. Because if you have all of them, then nobody else can claim that they're the best heavyweight at the time and prove it unless they fight you. So the fact that Anthony Joshua has 3 belts is a nice thing to have. You know, a lot of sanctioning fees, and it's a nice thing to have. It definitely speaks to him being an excellent fighter, because Anthony Joshua is. But because Deontay Wilder has the WBC belt, he is not the champion. He is a champion. I would say Tyson Fury in this lineal thing, but no, man, Tyson Fury, no matter how much they want to sell, does not want to try to sell him, doesn't have a belt. However, as far as being who the top heavyweight is and who people think are the best heavyweight, there's really only 2 people in the running, and one person, in my opinion, that stands above the rest is Deontay Wilder, because he's defended his title 10 times and he's been a champion. He was a champion before Tyson Fury became a champion. He was a champion several years before Anthony Joshua was a champion. He remained a champion for several years after Tyson Fury lost his belts, and he remained a champion after Anthony Joshua lost all his belts when he fought Andy Ruiz. So when Shawn Porter says that this fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder is leaving, I think the specific words that he used was putting Anthony Joshua outside of the box. I think that that's very fair assessment on a couple levels. On one level, Anthony Joshua, his reputation, and this is from somebody, I talk to boxing fans every day. I have a very good pulse for what is, what the hot topics in boxing are, who has a lot of momentum behind them, what young prospects are getting the most coverage, what boxing champions generate the most interest. And that, looking back on Anthony Joshua in 2017 and up until mid 2018, in the United States, Anthony Joshua's name was on the rise. You would watch videos of him. There was a lot of views on videos for him, a lot of interest in Anthony Joshua. But when Anthony Joshua walked away from that Deontay Wilder fight, that's when, and then he lost to Andy Ruiz, that's when it's really started to take a little bit of a hit. But not the issue isn't only the fact that Anthony Joshua failed to take advantage of his momentum. It's also that at the same time, simultaneously, Deontay Wilder was his profile was raising. Now, I wouldn't say that Deontay Wilder did that all by himself. And here I want to give credit to Anthony Joshua and the things that Eddie Hearn does. I don't really talk very positively about Eddie Hearn, haven't for a while, because Eddie Hearn, and you'll see this on a video that I'm gonna do about this idea of Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury fighting each other. But just to hint on a little bit here, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom Boxing, with Anthony Joshua being an Olympic gold medalist, really did create a lot of buzz around him. And there's a concept, or a saying that a rising tide lifts all boats. And that is the truth. Whenever in boxing, whenever you have a fighter that is a lot of interest and is, generating a lot of conversation, just as a natural result, people are going to want to know who that person is going to fight next, or who their big rival is. And fans fans who may dislike one fighter or fans of the other fighter that wasn't given credit will start asking the question, and they'll look at that other guy. And clearly the guy for Anthony Joshua was Deontay Wilder. But Deontay Wilder's profile did begin to raise because Anthony Joshua, because of all of the interest in the UK around Anthony Joshua, and the interest in boxing in the UK does reverberate outside the UK. So they started when they started pressing, getting a lot of momentum around Anthony Joshua, the momentum around Deontay Wilder started to raise. But also Deontay Wilder had something that really added to it, which is that Deontay Wilder, when you look at the two guys actually fight, the person that is more exciting to fight, the guy that has more, the guy with more charisma, the guy that has more, just the fights themselves are more exciting, is clearly Deontay Wilder. So, and then Deontay Wilder had a series of spectacular knockouts. He kept performing, where Anthony Joshua had the Carlos Takam fight. He had a Joseph Parker fight. Carlos Takam almost went the distance. Joseph Parker went the distance. You had him lose to Andy Ruiz, and now you had, when he came back and beat Andy Ruiz, and this was a point that Shawn Porter was making. He was like, in the ring, you could see he won the fight. Anthony Joshua won the fight with Andy Ruiz, but he didn't really look very dominating. He didn't go out there to beat up Andy Ruiz. He got in there to outpoint him. And anytime there was a situation in that fight where it looked like Andy Ruiz was going to let, Andy Ruiz touched him, he looked like he was either worried about getting hurt, or he actually did get a little buzzed and got knocked off balance. So when you see a guy fight like that, who previous to that was the big knockout machine. Now for me, Anthony Joshua being a knockout machine, that ended with Carlos Takam, because I was like, oh no, that was a premature stoppage. He wobbled him. I think it was in the 11th round. And as soon as he looked halfway wobbled, they waved that off. That just looked like, nah, a guy should at least have to go down or fall up against the ropes or look like he's absolutely out of it before you wave it off. And they just went way too fast about that. So, I agree with what Shawn Porter said. Now, Mark Craigle, I'm going to say this about Mark Craigle. Man, I'm ticked off that that ESPN is going to be covering that fight, man, because Mark Craigle gets on my nerves. But he said a couple things in there that was like, I'm not sure, man. Why don't you let the boxer talk? But anyway, I think that Shawn Porter is telling the truth. I think that Shawn Porter, and now Shawn Porter is talking more about what's going on inside the ring. From my perspective, sitting in this chair and paying attention to boxing every day, I think I can see that being the case outside of the ring. But, not to the point where, they're not going to be able to sell Anthony Joshua. But, even if I use the Humpty Dumpty thing, the Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. And all the horses, all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. That's where I think Anthony Joshua is, man. He doesn't look confident in the ring. The momentum, excitement of him outside the ring is kind of slanted off. And now that it seems like Eddie Hearn is going to want him to fight in Saudi Arabia every fight, that's just going to continue to decline, man, because people out in the United States or people in the UK, honestly, people in the UK deserve better than that. But anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.